So today I'm going to talk about the hype about the coaching world. So what I've noticed, there's a trend now where everybody wants to be able to help people, which is super and it's fantastic. But also there are other things that are coming up for me. So what I'm going to give today are just tips for anybody who's new to this world, and I think it's super fantastic for anybody who's joining with the right intentions and they're doing that for a greater purpose in their life that they've discovered. So the things that came up to mind for me, and before I even go any further, so if you're coming across my video for the first time, my name is Chico, and I mainly support people who are looking for assistance with like online businesses, as well as part of that aspect of setting up the online business. I also assist them with mindset. Okay, so mindset is just another another realm, but what I specifically wanted to talk about was people who are newbies, who are into the coaching world. So I come from a background where I was trained in psychotherapy, leadership and management. So my suggestion to anybody who's new in this field is, what I've heard is, people want to become mindset coaches, lifestyle business coaches, but it's to think about what are your key specialist skills. So that's tip number one. What are your key specialist skills? What background do you have? For instance, I have colleagues or friends or ex-work colleagues who came from a health and social care background, and they've been in that field for 7, 10 years, 15 years. And through that process, they've helped a lot of people to overcome certain challenges in their life. So as an example, that can also be integrated into a coaching skill, okay, over time, if that's something that you can relate to. Or fitness, we've got fitness coaches. But then lifestyle or mindset is such a big arena, and one of the things that I was thinking as point two is that when we go into this avenue is to think about what can you offer to people, especially if individuals are vulnerable, because there's a clear fine line for me in that. The reason I'm saying that is because I come from like a psychotherapy background. So when we are delving into that arena, there's some aspect about looking after people to a certain level. Okay, so when I say certain level, is that people who are considered vulnerable or maybe potentially at risk, is to consider whether you can support them in the way that is in their best interest. So if you're not able to support them and you've assessed that through engaging with them, my recommendation is usually to refer them on to specialists. Make that as a recommendation for them, and should they choose to do that, then that's fine. Why I'm saying this is that because there's a potential risk that that individual, if they are potentially very vulnerable, then it's something that you're also delving into without the appropriate support. That could be one potential thing as well, in terms of the specialism in your skills, or the support from like a mentor or a supervisor or anybody who's also an expert in that field. So what I find nowadays is that some coaches are doing this type of work, but then they don't have the extra support or the safety nets. So I'd recommend that if you're doing this, refer somebody else if you don't feel like you have the expertise within yourself to support somebody who may be an individual who could potentially be at risk. Okay, so when I say they could potentially be at risk, is that there are indicators when somebody is giving you their story and their personal journey. Okay, so again, that comes with a skill and the specialism and the background. And if you feel like something in their story and in their journey, it's something that needs to be referred on, then recommend it to that person, because you'll be doing yourself a favor and you also be doing that person a huge favor. You'll be supporting them. Then the third tip, there's this cultural move now where everybody is feeling that they want to share their story, which is great, and I I applaud anybody who wants to share their personal journey, their personal struggles, and I've done that myself. But what I can recommend to you as well is that when you are in this arena, is that you also have support. What I mean by support is that you receive support from the groups. Yes, they work fine. What I mean by groups is tribes. They work fine. But what I find is that when we share in groups, or let's say if you've gone to like an event, you will leave that event and with your emotions. So it's thinking about, are you ready to share, and do you feel like you've got that safety net of people to support you? And those people can also be people who are your family. They can be people who are also specialists. Specialists, by that I mean that is people who have a background in supporting people with like emotions. So in my past experience, what I've gone through, and that I made a conscious decision, was to go through psychotherapy, existential psychotherapy. And it's a mirror for me to talk to somebody who's got that specialism. And it's because it's something that I also studied, and I continue to do that. Why I choose to do that is that I know that when I go to events or when I belong to specific tribes, I know that I've got like an extra safety net where I can go and sit with somebody on a one-to-one basis, and there will be my mirror where I can actually continue to share my journey with them. Then aside from that as well, there's something around having the right type of like mentorship. By that I mean is doing a little bit of like research into do they meet your criteria? Do they meet your needs as well in terms of like what you're looking for in your specialist area that you've decided to coach in? Okay, so that's also quite key, is that would they align with your values as well, and how often would they support you? So when you buy into that, whatever they're offering you is also being aware that their service may end at some point, and or they may not be there for you as often as you expect. So do you also have somewhere else where you could also be supported? Because this field is not easy in terms of growth. There's the mindset as well. So when we go through this journey connecting with other people, there's something that happens, is that you also are changing and evolving as a person, and part of that may also entail you actually learning how to let go of some of the things that have been inner turmoil for you. So that will happen, okay, because of working with like clients, and also working with being in an arena where there's other professionals or people who are in the coaching industry. So these are just my tips, and I hope they've been quite helpful, because it's about yes, we want to give as much as possible to people, but it's also about looking after your welfare. Okay, so it's a two-way relationship, looking after the clients that you're going to be supporting on an ethical level. So when you're not able to provide that service to them, it's also being mindful that raising your awareness that there are other specialists in this field who may be able to provide them more support or better support in order to assist the client effectively. But I mean effectively, it's about supporting them with like their emotions, their vulnerability, and also providing them that safety net where they have that specialist support, especially if you feel like you don't have it. And also looking after yourself by having the right type of support in terms of like mentorship, being supervised by somebody else who's already been in that field for like many years, or somebody who is going to be a coach on top of a coach. Okay, so I have those as well. I have like weekly sessions with people who have been in the industry that I'm in, which is business related, and they support me with the business aspects and also any challenges that may come up with clients. And also we exchange information such as improving our skills and our learning and development process. And then I've also chosen to be involved like in a mastermind of coaches as well. So I'm also going to be involved in that process, and it's about educating yourself as you go through this process and continuously being open to that. So that's it for me for today. If you have any specific questions, feel free to comment below, as well as feel free to send me a message. Bye for now.